And radio system.
Yeah, we hear the radio. We hear Dave Ramsey on the phone, but we can't hear it in our ears.
Okay, you're gonna have to do it that way, and then I'll just turn it down. And it was 10 million listeners.
Did something change between?
No, nothing changed. Since you heard me, I haven't changed anything.
All right, we'll just run it off of your phone. We'll write it off of that.
I'm turning
There it is. There it is. Wait. All right, we hear it.
They hear you now. Yeah, turn that down.
Is it the ask him? Is it the auto glass commercial on his end?
Yeah, the auto glass commercial on your end, right?
All right, can't hear him. We'll run it from when we hear the music bed.
All right, they can't hear you, but they're going to use the music bed for people.
Radio.
Check 1, 2.
Check
That
one,
sounds good
two.
in here.
You're good.
We just got the echo.
You got
Oh,
echo?
gosh,
Yeah.
here we go again. Yeah.
Echo.
Not
Echo's
as bad.
back.
I don't. Turn your Here, turn this down. All right. Check 1, 2. Hello and welcome to Money Puzzles Live. We're a show here on Money Talk Radio, and we are designed to help you put all the pieces of your financial picture together. My name's Chris Maxey, and with me is my co-host, Sean Clark. Sean, how are you?
Good morning, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm doing terrific.
Yeah, when people come to our office, usually the first question is, hey, tell us about your retirement plan. And oftentimes they start out by telling us, well, I have a pension, or I have an IRA, or I'm going to take distributions from my 401k. And those are all pieces of the puzzle. But what I'm looking for is the picture on the box. Tell me about your plan. And what we find is a lot of people have all these pieces of the puzzle. They come into retirement with all these eggs. And the trick is figuring out which egg to crack first to get their income. So that's what we try to do, is take all these pieces and give them a plan, a picture on the box, if you will.
The question is, you've put money in your entire life. Maybe it's your 401k, your IRA, your Roth, whatever it is. You put money in your whole life. But in retirement, how do we get that money out of there?
We hear that all the time.
We hear it all the time.
It's like funny money. I've been putting in my 401k this whole time, but I have no idea how to get it out. And that's a major issue because people's whole life, they have this stream of income. They're used to getting paid every 2 weeks or every week or every month, however their employer pays them. And then all of a sudden they get to retirement. They got this big nest egg and they want to create little payments where it pays them every 2 weeks, and they just don't know how to do it.
It's a different world.
Absolutely.
So what we're talking about today is something that's really, really, really important. And a lot of our clients, they have real estate. They've had real estate throughout their life. Maybe they have their home. Maybe they have a piece of rental property. Maybe they have moved from a different state and now they're in Florida and they are renting out a home. So the question is, what do I do with this piece of real estate?
Absolutely, yeah, and I think we have a very special guest with us here today, Mr. Biggs, Mr. Robert Biggs from Don'tPayTax.com. Rob, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Sean. Chris, how are you doing? How you guys doing today?
We're doing terrific. Well, first off, Don'tPayTax.com. It sounds like the IRS is going to be knocking on your door, right? What does Don'tPayTax.com do? Why is it why is it a thing?
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Chris. I mean, don't take me literally. Don't pay tax.com literally. But basically, it's a way to keep more of what you've earned over the time. If you don't pay tax unless you have to, basically, there's different ways of deferring capital gains or mitigating capital gains strategies out there, and so that's what that don't pay tax speaks to.
That makes complete sense. you've worked your whole life. You've little by little put money away. So that's your money. How can we keep as much of that as possible? Is what it seems like don'tpaytax.com is all about.
Sheltering, yes, sir.
That's right.
So people have real estate, commercial real estate, maybe residential real estate that they own, that they're renting. And if somebody wants to get out of that real estate, but has a big capital gain, what can they do?
Okay, so there's several different capital gain tax strategies. One of the prevalent since the early 1920s really is 1031 tax deferred exchanges. So it allows an investor that most non-owner occupied property. There are certain restrictions, second homes and things like wouldn't qualify, but most non-owner occupied property would be eligible for 1031 exchange. So it allows them to, when they disposition sale of an asset, instead of paying that capital gain tax at when it's due that tax season, they can defer it to a later point.
So let's talk here. Someone has a rental property.
Yes.
And they want to sell it, and they want to buy another piece of rental property.
Correct.
That's when a 1031 exchange is important.
Potentially.
And,
Yes.
and what could the effects? What would happen if they sold one and then they wanted to buy another one? They could kick the capital gains down the road?
Correct. Yeah. So in a traditional real estate sale, as long as you've done your investment correctly, you at the end of a sale, you get money, right? And
Mhm.
so that's exposed to capital gains taxes on that gain. With the 1031 exchange process, it allows you to defer that if you're able to, instead of receiving money at the closing. And a delayed exchange, it allows you to receive other property, like-kind property in return instead of cash. So instead of receiving cash at the sale, closing of the sale, later on down the road with the delayed exchange, you go through these certain rules and regulations and you pick up a property deed or multiple property deeds in exchange for that real estate instead of cash. And that's why you can defer the taxes through the 1031 exchange process.
So basically, your cash from the sale of one goes into the purchase of another piece of real estate, and the tax implications are deferred, meaning you don't pay tax on the sale today.
Correct.
You're pushing it down the road.
By use of a qualified intermediary to hold the funds. So you can't have access to, 1031 code says you can't have access to the money. If you do, then you're susceptible to capital gains taxes. So if you use a qualified intermediary, and again, the rules and regulations, the timelines and regulations, if you follow those, you can defer the taxes to a later point. And ultimately, the long-term plan is to defer it to perpetuity and then not allow a step-up in basis for the heirs to inherit the real estate without all that deferral attached to it.
Hey, Rob, do you know any good qualified intermediaries?
Yes, I happen to know one sitting right here, actually.
Oh, Mr. Biggs himself.
Wow, there you go.
Hey, you mentioned like-kind real estate. Like-kind real estate. So does that mean I have to, if I own a apartment building, I have to buy another apartment building?
That's a good question. That's a misnomer. A lot of people think it has to be the same asset class, but it can be something totally different. So if a person's up north and they have a business of some sort, making widgets or whatever it is, they can actually sell that business and actually come down to Florida or wherever they're going to go in the United States and exchange into something totally different. So totally different than what they do now. So it's investment real estate, exchange for other investment real estate. That's the qualifier.
Oh, that's the like kind. Okay, so it doesn't have to be house for house, apartment building for apartment building.
Correct.
So it can be that place where they built those widgets. Now they can invest into, let's say, multifamily homes or single family homes.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, very good. Yeah, and I think a lot of people, as they enter retirement, they kind of want to get out of active real estate. I mean, real estate is a great market for income and stability. I mean, typically the real estate market is less volatile than the stock market or different investments. However, there's a lot of pains that come with real estate. And so, folks that want to exit real estate, but my goodness, if you bought a home or some kind of real estate here around the 2009 mark, which a lot of good investors did, you have a giant capital gain.
Yeah, you bought something for, let's say, 100,000, and now it could be 5, 6, 7, 800,000.
Yeah, so you're
big capital gain.
and you're going to pay 15-20% in taxes on that.
Huge.
And depending on who's elected, you may be paying ordinary income taxes on that.
Right.
So, I mean, that could be a major tax savings to defer those gains, right, Rob?
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when we're talking about a 1031 exchange, now these like-kind real estate, from what I understand too, when it's suitable, you could even go into a pool professionally managed portfolio of real estate. And at that point, it just becomes hands off, and it's just mailbox money.
Correct. Yeah, there's passive real estate options. A lot of people that, as you mentioned earlier, that actively manage it very well with their real estate investments, but they're tired of the 3 T's of active ownership. The tenants, turnover, and trash. And they get tired of that. And there are options for you to be able to that qualify for 1031 exchange. Different structures where you can have a pool of people, as you mentioned. It depends on how it's structured and everything, but REITs do not qualify, so a lot of times you hear people with real estate investment trusts, those don't qualify. It's personal property. It has to be real property, investment real property exchanged for other investment real property. So there's certain restrictions there.
Yeah, we hear that all the time. You get to a point in life where it's you're tired of dealing with those 3 T's, right? Where you've done well with these investment properties, and now you just want that mailbox money. It's really appealing to you. So that's something that we see a lot of our people when they come in. They just say, "I'm done with this real estate. I'm here. I want to retire, and I actually want to retire. I don't want to have to go check the toilets or deal with a management company or something like that." In that situation, this is a great option.
So listen, if you own real estate and you are interested in maybe exiting real estate or exchanging your property that maybe has an issue for another property, hey, give us a call at Brookstone Financial. Our number is 813-502-1228. Again, that's 813-502-1228. You can also visit us online at brookstonefinancial.com. Again, that's brookstonefinancial.com. Or you can visit Rob at don'tpaytax.com.
Yeah, check that out, don'tpaytax.com. That's an interesting site that should answer a lot of questions. But then again, give us a call and check us out at Brookstone Financial. We also are having a live event next Monday at Carrollwood Cultural Center at 6:30, where we're going to be talking about taxes in retirement. That's next Monday at 6:30 at Carrollwood Cultural Center.
We'll be back right after this.
It's too loud. It's too loud.
What number are you? 3? Turn her head the other way. 4. He's 4. Fine.
Okay. So I just turned us down.
What?
I just turned this down during our thing, so we didn't have the echo.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I just need to hear it on the exit. Yeah, that's fine. The echo's not bad.
Where are we going from here?
Don't know. You just blew our whole wad on that. Blew everything. Rob, you got anything else you want to talk about?
What?
You got anything else you want to talk about?
You got anything else you want to talk
Feedback
about?
again, but
Put that on because we're going on. Got anything else you want to talk about?
no, not really.
All right.
Unless you want to.
Hello and welcome back to Money Puzzles Live. We have our guest here, Mr. Rob Biggs with don'tpaytax.com. It's myself, Chris Maxey, and Sean Clark. We are talking today about real estate. Many people have it. Obviously, a lot of people own their own homes. However, oftentimes people have additional real estate, whether that be a piece of property that they're renting out that might be a single family home. It might be a multi-family home, or even commercial real estate. We're talking about that and how it affects you in retirement. What are some solutions to go from one piece of property to the other, and then potentially, when it's suitable, going from one piece of property out of real estate altogether and still earning some income from that.
Yeah, well, this could be raw land that, I had a client that had some raw land. They planned to build a house. And then they just never did it. And so they got this raw land, but they bought it in a really good time. Now that land has appreciated, and they're like, if we sell it, we're going to have to pay capital gains tax. But what we've been talking with Rob is that there are other options that you can defer. And one thing that we haven't talked about, Rob, is what happens when you own a piece of real estate. It has a huge, the cost basis of what you bought that. You bought it for $100,000. Now that price is somewhere around $500,000 or $600,000. And what happens when you pass away and pass those assets to your kids? Because what I understand is that's a little bit different.
Yes, correct. So the whole idea of 1031 exchange, again, is tax deferral. It's not tax exclusion like the primary residence rules would be, getting rid of the tax altogether, the $250,000, the $500,000, dollar ranges they have for that. But the 1031 code is all about tax deferral. So it is kicking the can, as you mentioned earlier, down the road for a later date. But if that continues on, at some point, the taxpayer attached to that real estate passes away, as long as the estate planning is done correctly, and then the heirs get a step up in basis, kind of resets the tax basis of that piece of real estate.
So what you're saying is let's say I own a piece of property and I just continue to do a 1031 exchange. I purchase a different piece of property. I then purchase another piece of property, and then all of a sudden, that's it. I'm dead. But I pass that piece of property to my children, and they get a step up, and they don't pay the taxes on that.
As long as the estate planning is done correctly, the last taxpayer attached to that real estate, that when they pass away, yes, then it's a brand new taxpayer. The heirs are not the same taxpayer, correct?
That's powerful stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. We call that strategy swap till you drop, because you can 1031 exchange. If you bought the original property for $100,000 and now your property's worth $500,000, when it passes to the kids, now the cost basis becomes $500,000, and they essentially eliminate that capital gains tax.
Correct, they can. If the estate planning is set up correctly, and the last taxpayer attached to that property passes away. Well, if it's a husband and wife, then there's going to be two taxpayers attached to it.
So they're going to be working with don'tpaytax.com. Of course, that estate planning is going to be set up right, Rob.
Well, I don't do the estate planning directly, but I do have a lot of attorneys that I work with that can help.
Sure, you got to surround yourself with good people, and to potentially go from a property that's worth $100,000 to, let's say, $5 or $1 million, and you're passing that to your kids with passing the tax with the tax implications by completely eliminating those. You got to surround yourself with good people if that's what you're going to do. That's a pretty impressive thing. That's an amazing opportunity, I would say. And if you're in that boat, well, that's something to definitely take a look at.
Yeah, I think so. And if you own real estate and you'd like to exit that real estate and would like some other options, definitely give us a call, 813-502-1228. That's Brookstone Financial at 813-502-1228. Or you can visit us at brookstonefinancial.com, or even like us on Facebook.
Yeah, check us out on Facebook at brookstonefinancial.com. Also, take a look at don'tpaytax.com. Again, that's don'tpaytax.com. If you have real estate and if you are worried about the implications of taxation on that, if you're wanting to potentially get out of if you're not even considering getting out of real estate in the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years, maybe it's down the road you're considering it. This is a powerful solution that it might work for some people out there, and it might be worth taking a look at.
Yeah, so Rob, tell us about a typical client. I mean, you work with clients on a daily basis of people in real estate looking to exchange real estate. So give us an example of somebody in this situation where a 1031 exchange might make sense.
Okay, yeah, so I talk with investors directly from all over. I get calls from them. I get referrals from, attorneys, title people, financial planners. So in a case where they're trying to do a disposition sale, as I mentioned, you can set up a 1031 exchange. The most popular reason is what we just talked about earlier, continuing to defer the capital gains till at some point the inheritance can be, the adjusted basis. That's the most popular. But a close second, and its more popularity now, is the ability to go passive in the real estate holding. So it's still a 1031 exchange eligibility, but it allows you to defer all the taxes and go into something that kind of works more like a security rather than an actual real estate property. It is ownership in real property, but it's actually more of a managed money type of a scenario.
So it's kind of like when you are when you're a landlord and you're renting this property and you're getting that mortgage, not the mortgage, but you're getting that rent from your renters coming in still. It's just like that money continues to come in for you.
Correct. It is basically ownership of real estate. Multiple people owning ownership in real estate, and then you still get the income, the cash flow, and the income from that on a monthly basis.
And you said that you're doing this. You're getting calls from all over. So all over Florida or all over the U.S.
We get calls on that.
So you can do this from coast to coast.
Correct. This is 1031 exchange specifically is a federal tax law, so you can go from one state to the other. You're not bound by, and I can open up exchanges nationwide. There's no boundaries there.
So if you have rental property in this state or outside, or if you have friends or family who have rental property who want to exit it or purchase another piece of rental property in exchange for it, then you'd be the guy to talk to.
Correct.
Okay.
For sure.
Well, we just had the couple that came to see us not long ago that had it's actually where they lived in California. It was a condo in California, and they had recently relocated to Florida, but they were renting the condo. Well, my goodness, the property taxes and all the rental income taxes that California had imposed on them kind of made them want to sell that property, get out of that property. And so when they came to us, they were looking for a passive solution, or really they were looking for a solution to defer the capital gains. They bought that property, and obviously real estate in California has appreciated tremendously. So there was going to be a huge capital gains liability.
Well, it was one thing right after the other. It was California's taxes continued to increase, as well as, they had, lead pipes or different type of pipe that they had to replace before it could even go on the market. So there's all these different things that said to them, hey, we want to wash our hands of this. We want to get out of that.
So we gave them a couple options. Yeah, you can buy a piece of real estate in Florida, but that isn't really what they wanted to do. What they wanted to do was go into more of an investment style, and that's great that you have options like that where you can go into a completely passive. And you said that's one of the second reasons people are doing that, Rob.
Correct.
Yeah. So and that worked out great for them to be able to do that.
Yeah, it absolutely did, and that's something that we're always looking to find out what's the best suit for you, and how can we make that happen. If it's going from one piece of property to the other, great. If when it's suitable, it's going from a piece of property to one of these type of exchanges, man, that could be a really powerful thing to continue to get that cash flow and that passive income stream.
Yeah, and a lot of times, a lot of people are just wanting to get rid of the headaches. When you enter retirement, it's all about getting rid of the headaches so you can enjoy your retirement. And even though some people hire a management company to manage their own personal real estate, you're still dealing with the management company. So going completely passive, and Rob, would you say that is a pretty high appeal right now? A lot of people are wanting that passive.
Correct. Yeah, it depends on their specific needs. As you mentioned earlier, some people are finished with the active real estate holdings. They've done really well with that. They would like to just completely sell out and go into the stock market or whatever the case may be. But by doing that, they're paying a huge tax burden before they do that. This gives them an option of not having to pay that tax and mitigating that tax burden, but also being able to do something, a hybrid of some sort that works within the real estate portfolio, but also the managed money side on a passive scale that qualifies for 1031 treatment.
Yeah, this is some really powerful stuff. And like I said, if you have real estate and if you're interested in exchanging one piece of property to the other, if you're interested in completely exiting real estate, this is something that you definitely need to check out. And it's something that is something to definitely look at. Definitely interesting. Definitely very, very, very cool. Don'tPayTax.com has some pretty cool stuff on it, and I would suggest that you go take a look at it.
And a lot of people don't know about it. They just don't know about it. I mean, they think, well, if I sold this property, in order to avoid the capital gains tax, they just got to go buy another property, and it's just continuing the issue that they have. So they're looking for passive real estate, and I think, we see a lot of people all the time just because they don't know about a 1031 exchange. Well, I'm just going to sell the property and pay the capital gains tax, and I'll go into the market or do something passive. Mm-hmm. It's really, maybe not life-changing is the word, but it is really powerful to be able to defer the taxes and go into a passive real estate.
Yeah, we're all about giving options, right? You need to have options, and it needs to be solutions specifically for you. And if there's rules in place that allow us to do these things, then absolutely, let's take a look at those. Rob, we appreciate you being on the show. It's been very educational for us. Don'tPayTax.com. Listeners, take a look at that. Also, check us out at BrookstoneFinancial.com or give us a call at 813-502-1228. Again, that's 813-502-1228. If you want to learn more about if you hold real estate and you have more questions about it, give us a call or check us out online at BrookstoneFinancial.com, and check us out and like us on Facebook at Brookstone Financial.
Absolutely. We will be back with you next week. That concludes this episode of Money Puzzles. We'll be back with you next week.
Good job, guys.
I didn't know what you say there at the end.
I know.
You could have just said bitty, 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 that's all it was.
I know. I freaking couldn't hear anything.
You couldn't hear us?
No. I could hear. I just our exit music.
Oh no, I never turned yours up. Because as soon as you turned it on, it was a terrible echo, and while you were talking, I was not going to turn that on, so it would be like.
Well, this is for me.